Okay, what's up people, and welcome back to my channel. Now today we've got another weekly Forex analysis. So on the screen are the 12 pairs we'll be analyzing today. But before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to my channel and also leave a like on the video if you're feeling generous. Make sure you follow me on my Instagram account. I'll leave the handle there. So we post a lot of different trading setups there, tips, tricks, and just general advice for you to become a better trader. And also check out my Telegram channel where I post different setups throughout the week and you don't be missing out on that. So make sure you go check all of that out. Links will be in the description. But like I said, we've got another weekly Forex analysis. So let me stop talking and let's get into the video. First up, we've got Euro USD. Okay, so first up, we've got Euro USD here on the daily chart. And for this week, we had a really nice push to the upside. Last week, we finished off around this area here with these two bullish candles. I did say last week, we'll probably see a nice push to the upside and probably come and test this level up here. Maybe actually take it out and tap into 1.22. As you can see, we did have a really nice push to the upside. We found some bullish momentum from here, bit of retracement, push to the upside, took out that resistance, but it actually looks like it was a false breakout. And I was thinking that price could maybe have a longer push to the upside and we could just be seeing a continuation of the overall bullish trend here on the higher time frames and the monthly, weekly and the daily, and see a price come back to the weekly highs all the way up here. As you can see, it actually looks like a bit of a false breakout again. So we had this really strong support here in the markets. We had the false breakout there, a bit of a false breakout there. So I was thinking we'll probably see a push to the opposite side, but now it looks like we've had another false breakout of this resistance here in the market. So you can see here, really nice area of resistance there, support there, resistance. So at one point during Thursday, it looks like we were breaking through that resistance there. A strong bullish daily candle close could have actually taken us all the way up to the highs up here. But as you can see, price pulled all the way back down, and on Friday gave us a very strong bearish engulfing candle, which engulfed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days worth of candlesticks there. So we're looking quite bearish now here for Euro USD. We are still in this area of support here. So again, previous support there will be acting as support here right now. So it could see a bit of retrace to start the week off, but I think we'll probably see a move to the downside now for Euro USD, coming all the way back down to the lows here, because a break of that resistance will probably lead to a break of that bearish trend here and probably start to see a bullish trend here in the market. And this bullish push to the upside was a reversal rather than a counter trend move, but this looks like it was just a counter trend bullish move to the upside. Failure to break through that last swing higher there in the market. Strong engulfing candle to the downside. The momentum is definitely to the downside now, so I think we'll probably see some retrace to start us off for next week, since we are at that daily support. Again, really nice area of support here in the market, so support there whipped into it as well with that doji as well. So it would be nice if to see some bit of retrace here in the market, and then we could look for entries there to go short on the Euro USD, and we'll be targeting to the lows and maybe even further to 1.19, which where on the weekly has a really nice doji here. So again, could look to target that area. So had a bit of indecision there with the doji, and then we just shot to the upside for this bullish momentum. So it could be coming back down to tap back into that area around 1.19 or maybe even 1.185. So downside potential here for Euro USD, biases to the downside. I think eventually we'll probably end up taking out those previous lows here around 1.195. I think we'll take out those lows and see a nice test of this area down here. So bias to the downside for USD, as long as we stay underneath this resistance here in the market. I think USD is on its way back down. At least go and test these lows here, but I think we'll probably push further and go and test 1.19. Next, we're going to take a look at USD JPY. Okay, so for USD JPY this week, we had a really strong push to the upside. I was expecting to see a push to the downside, expect to see a bit of retracement to start the week off, and then a continuation lower. But as you can see, we actually broke through that resistance, and price is looking very bullish now. So I think we could potentially be having a bit of a reversal on our hands here. You can see on the weekly chart, we've had a very strong push to the upside. We've broken through this trend line here quite a while ago now, but it's looking like we could be seeing a very strong reversal here, very impulsive move. Again, expecting to see some retracement now for USD/JPY, but I think the bigger move is still to the upside. If again this is a reversal in the market, I think we could be slowly working our way up to this level here in the market, which is where I started the trend line from, which is around 107,500 or potentially even 108. So I think price is on its way up, and any movement that we have to the downside I think is just retracement. So I think as long as we maintain this trend line here, I think price could be on a really nice swing to the upside. Could see a bit of retracement back down to this level. That is possible. This is our previous swing low here, so if you were to see retracement back down to this area here, that could be a really nice area to expect the market to continue to the upside. So again, as long as price stays above this trend line, above that support, I think the bigger move is still to the upside. So for next week for USD/JPY, expecting to see a bit of retracement now. As you can see, we've taken out these highs, we're a bit extended here, starting to see some bearish candles come into the market. So we're definitely losing that bullish momentum that continued us to the upside at the start of the week. So expecting to see a bit of retracement now for USD/JPY, and then probably expecting to see that bigger move to the upside, taking out these highs again and eventually getting to that 107,500 level, or maybe even 108. But again, that's more long term, more weekly perspective there for USD/JPY. But nonetheless, I think USD/JPY is still on its way up. Expecting to see a bit of retracement to start the week off, but I do think further continuation to the upside, it looks very likely. And next we've got USD CAD. Okay, so for USD CAD this week, we saw a really nice push to the downside. We tapped into 1.25, which is this level around here, and from there we just took off to the upside. As you can see, we had that bullish engulfing candle there on Thursday, and then price just took off to the upside. So we're starting to look very bullish now. You can see the momentum behind this bullish candle is very impulsive here, and we could potentially be seeing a bigger move to the upside. You can see we are losing momentum to the downside in the past couple of weeks here. As you can see, very strong move to the downside. Now we're getting very choppy corrective price action. So if we do get a breakout of this trend line here, we could actually see price come up to all the way up to 1.3 potentially soon, but again, that's a bit more of a bolder call here, since we still do have that bearish trend on our hands. But price looks like it's got back above this key level of support here on the daily. As you can see, support there, support, support, support. So really key level of support. This looks like it just was a forced breakout, very strong move to the downside, strong move back up again, giving us a very strong sign of a false breakout there. So I expect to see a bit of retracement now for USD CAD to the downside. It would be nice if we were to tap back into that, give us another test of that support, and from there I do probably expect to see a break of that trend line and price to come back to our recent swing high in the market, which is this level around here, around 1.28500. So biases to the upside now for USD CAD. Again, it would be nice to see some retracement, but again, we might not. Very strong bullish candle there in the daily. Could just see Monday give us another bullish candle to the upside. 4H, you can see we're very overextended here to the upside. Haven't had a bearish candle since our last move to the downside, so we are due some retracement. Again, like I said, we've got the daily level around about this area here, so it'd be nice to see a bit of retracement into that area, and then we could look to go long, and in that case we'll be looking to target that level up there from a daily point of view. Of course, we do have that trend line that could send us back down, but after this false breakout, it looks like we could be seeing a bit of a counter trend move to the upside now for USD CAD. So I do expect that trend line to break and give us a move into 1.28500. Up next is Euro GBP. Okay, so for Euro GBP this week, we saw a really strong push to the downside. Price came all the way to 0.86, found support there, bit of a wick to the downside, and then we took off to the upside. So it does look like for Euro GBP, we could be seeing a push to the upside here. If I go to the monthly time frame here, and we do have this monthly candle about to close soon, it does look like we're tapping into this support here in the market. So really strong support. You can see a really strong push to the upside, and now we're testing that support there again. So we've already had a pullback there, and I think we could be seeing a further push to the upside, retracement to the upside now for Euro GBP here. Again, you can see on the weekly chart, very overextended. We still haven't quite made it above this support here in the market. So again, really strong support there, broke below it last week, and you can see we had a doji this week. But again, still not convinced that this is a breakout of this level here. The market is very extended and is likely to retrace. Of course, it hasn't closed yet back above, and it still is respecting that support as resistance. But I do think if not next week, the week after, we could be seeing price get back above this area and see a bit of retracement all the way back to this key level of price support, which again hasn't been retested yet. So if we do manage to get above that level, I think we'll see a nice push to the upside for Euro GBP for next week. Again, all the way up to around 0.88500, probably not by the end of next week, but the next coming weeks we could be seeing a bit of a push to the upside for this pair. If we don't get above that area, we could just be seeing more indecision around this area, maybe another push to the downside again, but I don't think we'll see too much of a push. I don't think we'll see price take out that recent low there on the daily chart, so drop to the daily. I don't think price will take out this low here. If we do, again, probably just expect further continuation at that point, but the market is very overextended to the downside. You can see even on the daily chart, very strong push. We're likely to see some retracement now for Euro GBP. So for next week, I'm favoring to start the week off with a bit of retracement. As you can see, that's what it was doing towards the end of the week. Bit of retracement, could tap back into this support here. As you can see, this is the last kind of strong support before crashing to the downside, crashing back up again. If we were to hold that area, that would be a nice area to look to buy the back of the market and see if you can get another push to the upside. This was kind of like a last major swing high here in the 4H, so that's where I'll be looking to target for Euro GBP. But biases to the upside for Euro GBP, as long as we do respect that level, I think we could be seeing a nice push to the upside all the way up to 0.87800 area. Okay, so up next we've got AUD USD. Okay, so for AUD USD this week, we saw further continuation to the upside. I did say last week, probably expect to see a push to the upside as well this week, get to 0.8 and then maybe 0.81. As you can see, we didn't quite reach 0.81, but we did get to 0.8 there, and price just reversed and came crashing all the way back down. So it looks like we had a bit of a fake move here for AUD USD, fake push to the upside, fake move back. Okay, so for AUD USD this week, we had a further continuation to the upside. I did say last week we do expect price to get to 0.8 and then maybe 0.81. You can see we did get to 0.8. We didn't quite get to 0.81 before we came crashing back down. So it looks like we had a bit of a false breakout here. So again, really strong area of resistance here in the market on the daily time frame. Big push above, big push back down. Does indicate to us a bit of a false breakout here, and now we can be expecting to see a bit of retracement now for AUD USD. You can see even on the weekly chart, very strong engulfing candle to the downside, wick to the upside as well, showing rejection. Again, previous resistance here in the market. False break, closing above, then closing back below. So again, for next week, expect to see a bit of retracement here, but I definitely think we could be seeing further continuation to the downside here, even from the weekly time frame, because of that price action like that, you do expect the next week to be bearish as well, or at least give us a push to the downside and then retrace after. But nonetheless, expecting to see further continuation to the downside now for AUD USD. Be nice to see a bit of retracement now. As you can see, the market is quite extended, so retrace back into this area and then expect further continuation to the downside, back to 1.76, really key support. But in this case, I probably expect that level to break and probably see a move back down to 1.75 potentially. But biases to the downside now for AU, as long as we stay underneath this level of resistance now. And I do think we'll see a further continuation back down to 0.76 potentially. Now let's take a look at NZD CAD. Okay, so for NZD CAD this week, we saw a push to the upside. I did say expect further continuation to the upside for NZD CAD to take out these previous highs and tap into 0.93. As you can see, we reached 0.93 really well there, and then we reversed and came back down. So it does look like price is starting to reject this weekly resistance that price is currently testing. As you can see, this is the weekly time frame now, and we do have this area of resistance here in the market where we resisted it once. Second time, came crashing all the way down there. Now we're rejecting again a third time, big strong wick above it, pulled all the way back down, showing that we are failing to get above this level. So I'm going to be favoring a move to the downside now for NZD CAD, just because of where we are in the market. And that looks like we're just a false breakout there on the daily. So expecting to see further movement to the downside now for NZD CAD. We do have this trend line here in the market with initial test there, second, third, fourth. I do expect us to get to this trend line. If we see a break of this trend line, I'll probably expect price to eventually get back down to this level here in the market, which is around 0.9. So my bias is the downside as long as we stay below that weekly level, which is this level here in the market. So it'd be nice to see some retracement to start the week off, then expecting to see further continuation into that trend line. Might see a bit of a reaction, but I do think we'll probably end up breaking through that trend line and then seeing a move all the way down to 0.9 there potentially. Next up, we've got GBP NZD. Okay, so for GPNZD this week, we saw a really nice push to the downside to start the week off. I did say last week during my weekly analysis, we do expect to see a move into 1.9. As you can see, we were around here last week, saw retracement into this level. I did say from this level here, do expect to see a nice move into 1.9. And you see, we held that level quite well. And then price pushed the upside very strongly there as well, giving us this morning star pattern here on the daily. And we do have this trend line, which is still intact here in the market, this bullish trend line. So again, initial test there, second, third, fourth. So on the daily time frame, we are looking bullish here, and even on the weekly as well. It looks like we're holding on to a very strong weekly area of support. So again, you've got the weekly time frame here, previous support all across here in the market. So support, broke below, was acting as resistance, bit of consolidation, broke to the upside, wick to the downside this week, trying to break back below again, but failing to do so. So it looks like price is holding above that support. This move here was just a false breakout, and I do expect to see from a weekly point of view, price to come and test that resistance all the way up there, which is around 1.96. So biases to the upside from a weekly and daily point of view. So I do think we'll see some nice continuation to the upside. Again, we do have a really nice area of resistance across there. If I just move this level out of the way, you can see here on the daily chart, really nice resistance there, turned support there, broke below, now is back above it. So if we were to see a bit of retracement to the downside to start the week off after that big bullish move there, that would be really nice. And then we'll be looking to target 1.95. Again, 1.96 is probably a bit long-term target. Don't expect to see GPNZD reach that within a week, maybe 2 or 3. So biases to the upside for next week. I do think we'll come back to highs, which is around 1.94, which is this level here. I think we'll probably take up those highs and see new highs at around 1.95, which is this level up here. So biases to the upside for next week, expecting to see a bit of retracement to start the week off, and then looking for further continuation to 1.94 back to highs, or 1.95, create some higher highs up there. Next, we're going to move on to CAD JPY. Okay, so for CAD JPY on the daily time frame, as you can see, had a really nice push to the upside. We were consolidating in this area, and then we had a really strong push, and then a really strong push back down. So it looks like a bit of manipulation there, a bit of a false breakout. You can see on the weekly time frame here in the market, we've come to a very strong weekly level of resistance here in the market, and I'll just drag that across. You can see resistance here, strong push to the downside, resistance there again, nice push to the downside, and now we just wicked above that same area. So going to be expecting to see some retracement now for CAD JPY since the level we're currently getting rejected by. We do have this key level of support here in the market, but we'll be acting as support, with support here, then resistance there. So I do expect to see retracement maybe back into that area, then expect further continuation to the upside and just continue this new bullish trend that I think CAD JPY could be on. But for now, since we are testing a really key level of resistance here on the weekly chart, you can see really nice rejection there on the daily. Do expect to see further continuation to the downside now, as long as we stay below that level, of course. So for next week, expecting to see a bit of retracement since we are a little bit overextended here. As you can see, we flew to the upside, came crashing back down. So expecting to see a bit of retracement now for CAD JPY, and then further continuation to the downside, where I'll be looking to target this key level here in the market around 82,600. Again, key level of resistance here, resistance there, broke above it, didn't retest it. So looking to see if we can get a move into this area. So any push to the upside we'll be treating as retracement as long as we stay below that weekly and daily level of resistance, and then expecting to see further continuation to the downside and a move into this level here around 82,700 there. So continuation to the downside for CAD JPY for next week. First, expect a bit of retracement and then continuation to the downside for this pair. Up next is GBP USD. Okay, so for GBP/USD on the daily time frame, as you can see, we have further continuation to the upside this week. I did say I expect to see a movement into 1.41, but again, my overall target for GBP/USD was 1.42. As you can see, we wicked into 1.42 really nicely there. And the market got rejected and saw price come to the downside. So GBP/USD is starting to look a little bit bearish here. Very strong move to the downside. Again, the overall direction for this pair is again still to the upside. You can see the overwhelming direction is to the upside, but now you can be expecting to see a deeper retracement now for GBP/USD. Bit of a counter trend move to the downside, looking to retrace some of this movement to the upside before maybe seeing overall continuation to the upside again. Because again, similar to EUR/USD, I do expect to see further continuation to the downside. So a bit more retracement before we continue that overall bullish direction for that pair back to high. So for GBP/USD, I am going to be expecting to see some retracement to the downside now. You can see again on the monthly, it came to that really strong level of resistance, but we did see all this rejection to the downside. So do expect to see some retracement now for GBP/USD. Again, expecting to see a bit of retracement now since we're getting a little bit overextended. But again, I think any movement to the upside is probably just retrace and further continuation to the downside. I think we could be seeing a movement maybe back all the way to this area here where we were consolidating for a little bit. Didn't get a retest of that area. So I do think we could be working our way back down to 1.37500 for GBP/USD, but do expect to see a bit of retracement to the upside first before coming back down. So for next week, GBP/USD, I'm expecting to see some movement to the downside now. Expecting to see a bit of retracement first. Again, that will give us a chance to enter any shorts and then look to target 1.37500. So biases to the downside, bit of retracement first, and then expecting to see continuation to the downside for next week. And next we're going to see what's happening with GBP CAD. Okay, so for GBP CAD this week, we had further continuation to the upside to start us off. I did say last week, do expect to see a test of 1.78. And as you can see, we tested 1.78 really well and actually broke through the area. So 1.78 is around here. We smashed through 1.78 and almost actually tested 1.79, which is that level up there, but we did reverse and come back down. So still treating that movement to the downside as retrace, because I am still fairly confident that we can come and fill this wick over all the way here, which is, again, is a candle there. But if we go to the weekly time frame, you can see it's a really strong wick to the upside. So I do think price is going to go fill that wick to the upside and go test 1.8, which is that level just below it. So biases to the upside for GBP CAD for next week. Again, we did have this resistance here, so really strong resistance, turned support. Price held that area, very strong price action there on the daily with that engulfing candle and that wick to the downside. And again, we still do have this trend line still intact for GBP CAD as well, keeping us to the upside. So yeah, biases to the upside for GBP CAD. I think for next week, going to be seeing another push back to highs, back to 1.79, and I think eventually go and hit 1.78 as long as we stay above this strong area of resistance turn support, and as long as we stay above that trend line. So if you get below that area and hold, it could be seeing a reversal, but as long as we stay above these area, I think the only way is up to the upside for GBP CAD. Looking for a test of 1.79 and then potentially even 1.8. And up next, we're going to take a look at gold. Okay, so for gold this week, we saw a push to the upside to start the week off. We were currently trading at this level around here, really strong area of support. And I did say, do expect to see some retracement to the upside for gold. And as you can see, we did see a really nice retracement there. However, we failed to break through this trend line here, and we fell to the downside and actually broke through that support. I was favoring price to break through that trend line and see a push back to this level up there around 1870, but as you can see, we didn't get above that trend line and price failed to hold at that support, and we just collapsed to the downside. So gold is looking very, very bearish right now. You can see on the 4 hourly, very strong moves to the downside here. So again, we are a little bit overextended, so do expect to see some retracement now to the upside. Again, on the weekly, I think we are testing some support here. So again, previous resistance across here, see a nice bearish candle to the downside, now turn support. So it'll be interesting to see how we react with that level. And we do have this trend line here, which is acting as support here as well. So support there, and we'll be acting as support there. So it's looking like we could be seeing retracement to start the week off for gold. but we do still have that all important level just above us, which will either send us back down or give us the strength needed to continue to the upside. So if this is a false breakout, we see price get back above that level, hold its support, and see a bigger push to the upside if we can get above that trend line. But if it isn't a false breakout and we start to see a bigger bearish move, could see some retracement, hold at that area, then at that point just expect lower lows. So for next week, do expect to see some movement to the upside for gold, maybe retracement back into that area. Then probably we'll make a judgment at that level where whether we're going to continue to the upside now or see price just roll over to the downside. But for gold next week, do expect to see some retracement back to this level, and then we'll make the judgment from there. And last but not least, we've got Bitcoin. Okay, so for Bitcoin this week, we saw some further continuation to the upside, then price just absolutely reversed and fell to the downside quite sharply. So I did say last week that I do expect price to get to 60,000. I think I still do stand by that area, and this is just retrace here for Bitcoin. We do have a really key level of support here in the market on the daily time frame, which kind of gave us that corrective move to the upside, which we are testing right now. If you do break through that area, we'll probably come back and test 38,000, which is this support around here, which we did see a really nice push to the upside after that indecision there. So for next week, I do expect to see further continuation to the upside if we do hold that level. However, if we don't and we break through it, probably do expect to see a test of 38,000 and just slowly see us creep back to the upside for Bitcoin. And you see on the 4-hourly time frame, big push to the upside, came back down and is now retesting that support. So if we do break through this level here in the market, again, that 38,000 does look like price could go and get there. But if we do hold that support, I do think a really nice push to the upside. I think we do need to take out this level for price to really take off to the upside, because again, this is where we did get rejected last time we were at that support. So if we get above this level here, which is around 51,000, I think we'll probably see really nice upside potential for Bitcoin and see price come all the way back to the highs again. At that point, actually could see now a test of 60,000. So biases to the upside for Bitcoin for next week. Again, as long as we hold that level. If we don't, we'll probably see further continuation to the downside. Maybe tap into that 38,000 level, which is around this support around here. On the daily time frame, tap into that level, and then from there maybe expect to see that push to the upside come back into action for Bitcoin. But it does look like we could be holding at this level, and if we do get above that 51,000, it looks quite likely that we could be working our way all the way up to 60,000. Okay, so that is the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed it and found it useful. If you had any questions or you agree or disagree with my analysis, just put it in the comments down below. I'll make sure I'll get back to you. But like I said, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, I will see you guys later.